I came home for the holidays, but my mom opened the door and sneered, "You weren't invited. This is for real family only, not disappointments like you." I turned around without a word. Minutes later, my sister texted, "Don't be so dramatic. You know you're the problem. Here." I smiled, froze the joint account, canceled utilities, and cut off every card. Then I discovered they'd tried to steal my inheritance, so I took my revenge. By morning, my voicemail was full, and the group chat was on fire. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Throwaway account because some people in my life know my main. This happened over the holidays, and I'm still processing it all. This is going to be long, but I need to get this off my chest because what my family did was absolutely unhinged. Alright, so some background first because this mess didn't happen overnight. I 29 male, work as a warehouse operations manager for a logistics company about 3 hours from my hometown. Not glamorous, but it pays decent. Around $52,000 a year plus overtime, which puts me solidly middle class. I've got my own apartment, reliable car, some savings. Nothing fancy, but I'm doing alright for myself. My family, though? Complete opposite story. There's my mom, Linda, 52 female, who hasn't worked a real job since my dad died 4 years ago. She gets some social security but spends most of her time on Facebook complaining about everything. My sister Jessica, 26 female, works part-time at a nail salon when she feels like it, but mostly lives off whatever boyfriend she's with or emergency money from family. My brother Tyler, 24 male, bounces between construction jobs and unemployment, always has some excuse why he can't keep work. Here's where it gets stupid. About 2.5 years ago, Mom called me crying about how she couldn't make ends meet. Dad's life insurance had run out. The house needed repairs. She was scared they'd lose everything. Being the oldest and the only one with steady income, I stepped up. Set up a joint checking account so I could help with bills. Nothing crazy, just utilities and groceries when things got tight. That was my first mistake. See, I thought helping with bills meant exactly that. Maybe $200 to $300 a month max during rough patches. What I didn't realize was that I'd just become their personal bank account. Within 6 months, Jessica had somehow gotten a debit card for the account. Tyler convinced Mom to add him as an authorized user on my credit card for emergencies only. And the spending. Jesus Christ! The spending started immediately. But I didn't notice at first because I was working crazy hours, pulling double shifts, trying to save for a house down payment. I'd check my account, see money going out, and just assume it was the stuff we'd agreed on. Mom said she was managing the household expenses, so I trusted her. Big mistake number 2. The real wake-up call should have been last Christmas. I drove down with presents for everyone. Spent like $400 total, which was a lot for me at the time. Got there and immediately felt the weird energy. They were all acting, I don't know, guilty? Like they'd been talking about me before I arrived. Dinner was awkward as hell. Jessica kept making little comments about how I act like I'm better than everyone, because I have a salary job. Tyler made some crack about how I must be rolling in money since I live alone. Mom just sat there letting it happen. When I tried to bring up family memories or ask about their lives, they'd give one-word answers and change the subject. But the second someone needed something, Jessica's car payment, Tyler's phone bill, suddenly I'm family again. I left early that night, told them I had to work the next day, which was true. Jessica rolled her eyes and said something like, "Of course you do," under her breath. That should have been my sign to cut them off right there. But family, right? You keep trying because they're blood. This year I decided to give it one more shot. Maybe things would be different. Maybe they'd grown up a little. I took 3 days off work, spent $300 on a flight during peak season, and sent them my travel plans 3 weeks ahead of time. Radio silence. But that's normal for them. They're terrible at communication unless they want something. So I show up at the house with a $35 pie from this fancy bakery near the airport, thinking maybe I can smooth things over. Have a nice family Christmas for once. I'm standing on the porch in my good jacket, holding this pie, genuinely excited to see everyone. Before I can even knock, the door opens. Mom's standing there in a sweater I bought her 2 birthdays ago. I remember because it cost me $70 at Kohl's, and she made a big deal about how thoughtful I was. She looks at me like I'm a door-to-door salesman trying to sell her a vacuum cleaner. You weren't invited. This is for family only. I swear time stopped. I can hear voices and laughter from inside. I can smell the food. Expensive food. The kind of spread that costs serious money. and she's telling me I'm not welcome. At my own family's Christmas dinner. I don't argue. I don't ask questions. I just turn around and walk back to my rental car like a zombie. The whole time I'm thinking this has to be a misunderstanding. Maybe she's having a senior moment? Maybe she forgot I was coming? Then my phone buzzes. Text from Jessica. Don't take it personally. You know how you are. That's when reality hit me like a freight train. This wasn't a mistake. They'd planned a family Christmas and deliberately excluded me. After 2.5 years of me financially supporting them, I sat in that rental car for 10 minutes, just staring at the house. I could see people moving around inside, shadows in the windows, my family, having Christmas dinner without me, and that's when I stopped being sad and started getting pissed. I drove to a Wendy's about 20 minutes away and parked in their lot. Ordered a combo meal I didn't want just to have somewhere to sit and think. That's when I started really looking at my bank account for the first time in months. See, I'd been working so much overtime lately that I hadn't been paying close attention to my finances. I knew money was going out to help the family, but I figured it was just the usual stuff. Utilities, groceries, maybe some emergency car repairs. Wrong. So freaking wrong. I started scrolling through my checking account transactions and immediately saw charges I didn't recognize. Multiple Amazon orders every week. DoorDash almost daily. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, streaming services I don't even use. A gym membership for Planet Fitness in my hometown. I live 3 hours away and work out at home. But it gets worse. I found charges at Victoria's Secret Bath & Body Works, some boutique clothing store called Vintage Vibes, gaming purchases on Xbox Live, Uber rides all over town. This wasn't emergency money. This was a lifestyle I was funding without even knowing it. I called my bank right there in the Wendy's parking lot, asked them to email me statements for the joint account going back 2 years. The customer service lady was super helpful, said they'd send everything within an hour. While I waited, I started a voice memo on my phone, just talking through what I was discovering, trying to make sense of it all. Sometimes you need to say stuff out loud to believe it's real. Okay, so there's an $89 charge at some restaurant called Bella Vista last Tuesday. Tuesday I was working a double shift. I wasn't even in town. So who the hell is eating $89 dinners with my money? The bank statements showed up in my email before I finished my fries. Holy shit, guys. I'm talking 47 pages of transactions. 2 years of financial history that I apparently had no idea about. I started categorizing everything in my head. Bills I'd agreed to help with. Emergencies they'd asked me about. Random shit they just bought without asking. The ratio was insane. For every dollar I'd knowingly agreed to help with, there were 5 more I'd never heard about. But here's the part that really got me. I found a $127 charge at a liquor store on December 15th. My mom doesn't drink, hasn't touched alcohol since Dad died. So either she'd developed a secret drinking problem, or they were buying expensive booze for their Christmas party. The Christmas party I wasn't invited to. I kept digging and found more party-related expenses. A $43 charge at Party City. $78 at a fancy grocery store for holiday catering items. $156 at some place called Gourmet to Go for what looked like appetizer platters. They'd used my money to throw themselves a Christmas party, then told me I wasn't welcome. I made a new voice memo. I think I've been funding my own exclusion from the family. That's actually impressive in how freaked up it is. I spent the next 2 days in my hotel room. Yeah, I stayed in town just to process this mess. Going through every statement with a fine-tooth comb. Made spreadsheets, because I'm apparently that guy now. But honestly, I needed to see it all laid out to believe how bad it was. Final tally, $11,847 over 28 months. That's not the agreed-upon bills. That's just the unauthorized stuff. Money they spent without asking, on things they never told me about. Jessica alone had racked up $4,200 in charges. Clothes, makeup, restaurant meals, Uber rides to God knows where. Her nail salon job pays maybe $800 a month when she bothers to show up. But she was living like she made 50 grand. Tyler was even worse. $4,600 in charges, mostly gaming stuff and fast food. This dude was buying $60 games while claiming he couldn't afford his car payment. He'd bought a $300 gaming headset the same week he asked me for grocery money. But Mom was the real winner. $2,900 in random purchases, including $400 at some home decor store, and multiple charges at restaurants I'd never heard of. Apparently, being a grieving widow includes a lot of expensive lunches and decorative throw pillows. The remaining $147 was mystery charges I couldn't figure out. Here's what really pissed me off, though. I cross-referenced the dates with our text conversations. Every time they'd ask me for help with something specific, they'd spend double that amount on random crap the same week. Like when Jessica texted me in October, "Hey, can you help with my rent? I'm $250 short and I'm freaking out." I sent the money immediately because I'm not a monster. But that same day, she spent $180 at Sephora and $95 on dinner at some trendy place downtown. Or when Tyler called me in September saying his car was making weird noises and he needed $300 for repairs. Turns out he spent $350 on a new TV that same week. They weren't just taking my money, they were lying to get it, then spending it on luxury shit while making me feel guilty for not helping more. I called my bank again and asked about getting fraud protection on all my accounts. The representative asked if I wanted to file a police report for unauthorized usage. I said not yet, but I wanted to know my options. Then I called a lawyer. Found this guy online who specialized in financial fraud and family law. Told him the whole story over the phone. He said something that stuck with me. Sometimes family hurts you worse than strangers because they know exactly how to manipulate your love for them. Damn, that hit different. He also said that if I could prove the charges were unauthorized, which I could since I had all our text conversations, I could potentially pursue criminal charges for financial fraud, even against family members. I wasn't ready to go that far yet, but it was good to know I had options. I flew home the day after Christmas and spent the weekend planning my next move. Not revenge exactly, but consequences. There's a difference, right? I work in logistics, so I know how to plan systematically. You identify the problem, gather data, develop a solution, execute the plan, and monitor results. Basic process management. Problem. Family had been stealing from me for over 2 years while treating me like an outsider. Data. $11,847 in unauthorized charges, documented lies, pattern of manipulation. Solution. Cut off all financial access immediately and permanently. I started by calling every company that had autopay set up from my accounts. Utility companies, credit card payments, insurance, everything. Canceled all of it effective immediately. Then I called my bank and had them freeze the joint account pending a fraud investigation. Told them that multiple people had been making unauthorized charges and I needed all activity stopped while I sorted it out. Next, I contacted all 3 credit card companies and had them cancel any cards that had additional authorized users. Tyler and Jessica's cards? Dead. Mom's backup card for emergencies? Gone. The whole process took about 4 hours spread across Monday and Tuesday. 4 hours to undo nearly 3 years of financial abuse. I didn't tell them what I was doing. Figured they'd find out soon enough. Boy, did they ever. Wednesday around 2 p.m., my phone started ringing. Jessica first. "Hey, my card got declined at Target. Something's wrong with the system." I let it go to voicemail. Tyler called an hour later. "Dude, the bank said there's a problem with the account. Can you call them?" Voicemail. Then Mom called. "Honey, I think someone hacked our bank account. None of the cards are working." Also voicemail. By 6 p.m., I had 15 missed calls, and the family group chat was going absolutely insane. "Jessica, is anyone else's cards not working? This is so weird." Tyler. "Something's definitely wrong. None of my stuff is going through." Mom. "I tried to pay for groceries and my card got declined. This is so embarrassing." My cousin Derek, who lives out of state. "Have you guys called the bank?" Jessica. "We've been trying, but they just say the account is frozen for security reasons." I watched it all unfold from my couch while eating Chinese takeout that I paid for with my own money, from my own account that nobody else had access to. It was like watching dominoes fall in slow motion, and I wasn't even angry anymore. I was satisfied. Finally satisfied. Thursday morning brought panic. Real, genuine panic. I woke up to 31 missed calls and a voicemail box that was completely full. The family group chat had 127 unread messages from overnight. Apparently, the power had been shut off at Mom's house at 8 a.m. The automated payment I'd been covering for 3 years didn't go through, and they'd been late enough times before that the utility company just cut them off. Jessica. "I can't believe this is happening right before New Year's." Tyler. "Mom's house is freezing. The heat's electric, so it's all off." Mom. "I don't understand what's happening. Why would they shut off the power?" My cousin Derek. "Wait, who's been paying the electric bill?" Long pause in the chat. Jessica. That's not important right now. We need to figure out how to fix this." But Derek wasn't letting it go. "No, seriously. Whose name is the account under?" Another long pause. Tyler. "Look, can we just focus on getting the power back on?" Derek. "You guys don't even know who pays your bills?" That's when I decided to have some fun. I posted in the chat for the first time since Christmas. The power's off because the automatic payment from my account was canceled. Same with water, internet, and gas. They'll all be shut off within the next few days. The chat went dead silent for about 10 minutes. Then, all hell broke loose. Jessica: what do you mean your account? Why are you paying mom's bills? Tyler: dude, what's going on? Can you just fix this? Mom: sweetie, please call me. I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding. Derek: hold up. You've been paying all their utilities? For how long? Me: 28 months. $487 per month on average, plus credit cards, groceries, and whatever else they felt like buying. Derek: Jesus Christ. Jessica: you don't have to make it sound like we're leeches or something. Me: what would you call it? Tyler: we're family. Family helps each other out. Me: family also invites each other to Christmas dinner. Dead silence again. Derek: wait, what happened at Christmas? Nobody answered. So I did. Me: I flew down for Christmas. Mom told me I wasn't invited because it was for family only. Found out later they used my credit card to pay for the dinner. I wasn't allowed to attend. Derek: are you freaking kidding me? My Aunt Karen, Derek's mom, popped into the chat. Linda, is that true? Mom: there was a misunderstanding. We had limited space and… Derek: limited space? It's your son. Karen: you used his money to pay for a dinner he wasn't invited to? Jessica: it's more complicated than that. Karen: how is it complicated? Either you invited him or you didn't. Tyler: look, this is getting blown out of proportion. Derek: is it though? Because it sounds like you guys have been using him as a personal ATM while treating him like shit. That's when I posted the spreadsheet. I'd been working on this spreadsheet for days, organizing every transaction by person, date, and category. It was beautiful in its brutal clarity. 28 months of data, 11,847 total in unauthorized charges, broken down by person with specific examples. Jessica's highlight reel: $78 at Victoria's Secret, same day she asked for rent help. $156 dinner at Bella Vista, party of 4, who else was she feeding? $89 at Bath & Body Works, apparently emergency toiletries. 67 Uber rides in 1 week, girl doesn't even have a job. Tyler's greatest hits: $298 gaming headset, week after asking for grocery money. $45 DoorDash orders happening 2 to 3 times per week. $189 at Dick's Sporting Goods, for someone who claimed to be broke. $134 at GameStop in 1 day. Multiple transactions. Mom's special moments: $387 at Home Goods. Guess the house needed decorating. $156 at Olive Garden for a party of 6, another gathering I wasn't told about. $89 wine purchase, for someone who doesn't drink. $67 at Sally Beauty. Apparently, grief requires expensive hair products. I posted it all in the group chat with a simple message. Here's where your family help money actually went. Every charge is documented and verifiable. Then I left the group chat and blocked all their numbers. But I didn't block Derek or Karen. I wanted to hear what happened next. The next 3 weeks were absolutely wild. Derek kept me updated through texts about the complete meltdown happening in my hometown. Day 1, power still off. Mom had to stay at Jessica's apartment. Jessica's landlord wasn't happy about an extra tenant. Day 3, water got shut off at Mom's house. Tyler had been crashing there to save money, so now he was homeless too. Day 5, Mom's car got repossessed. Turns out I'd been making those payments too, and she couldn't cover them on her own. Day 8, Jessica got evicted. Having Mom stay there violated her lease, and when she couldn't pay the late fees because her backup funding disappeared, they kicked both of them out. Day 12, Tyler got fired from his construction job for missing too many days. He'd been spending his time trying to fix the bank situation instead of working. Derek was sending me updates like, dude, your mom is sleeping on Tyler's friend's couch. Jessica is staying with some guy she barely knows. This is insane. But here's the thing. I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't celebrating their misery. I was just neutral, like watching a house fire from across the street. Sad that it happened, but not my problem to solve. Then, on day 18, Derek forwarded me something that made my blood run cold. Mom had posted on Facebook, sometimes your own children abandon you when you need them most. Praying for strength during these difficult times. If anyone knows of affordable housing or can help with bills, please message me. The comments were brutal. Family friends asking what happened, offering help, wanting details. And Mom was playing the victim perfectly, going through a rough patch. Family drama, trying to stay positive. No mention of the $11,847. No mention of the lies. No mention of Christmas. That's when I realized they weren't learning anything. They weren't taking responsibility. They were just trying to find new people to manipulate. So I posted my own Facebook status, tagged all of them in it. For anyone wondering about my family's rough patch, I discovered they'd been using my credit cards and bank accounts without permission for over 2 years, spending nearly $12,000 on non-essential items while lying about needing help with basic bills. When I confronted them about it, they told me I wasn't welcome at Christmas dinner that I unknowingly paid for. I've cut off all financial support and gone no contact. They're not homeless due to circumstances beyond their control. They're facing consequences for choices they made. I attached the spreadsheet. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. Family friends started commenting, "Holy shit, $12,000. And Linda, is this true? And how could you do this to your own son?" Mom tried to respond, "This is a private family matter that's being blown out of proportion." But Uncle Jim commented, "Linda, I've seen the evidence. This isn't blown out of proportion." Derek's mom, Karen, posted, "I'm disgusted that my sister would treat her child this way." Within 6 hours, Mom had deleted her original post. But screenshots live forever, and several family members had already shared my response. That evening, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Please don't hang up." It was Jessica, calling from someone else's phone. "What do you want, Jess? We need to talk, all of us. Can you come down here, or we can drive up there? There's nothing to talk about." "There is. We can fix this. We can pay you back." I laughed. Actually laughed. "With what money? You don't have jobs." "We'll get jobs. Real jobs. We'll make payments. At minimum wage, working full-time, it would take you 3 years to pay back what you stole." "That's assuming you didn't spend money on anything else." "Don't call it stealing." "What would you call it?" Silence. But then Jessica said something that made my blood freeze. "Look, we can discuss the house situation when you come down." "What house situation?" Another long pause. Too long. "Jessica, what house situation?" I thought you knew." "Knew what?" "About Dad's property. The land he left." My heart started pounding. "What land?" "Dad didn't own any land." "The 40 acres up north. With the cabin." I felt like the ground was shifting under me. "Dad had 40 acres? Mom didn't tell you?" No. She freaking didn't tell me." Jessica, I need you to explain right now what you're talking about." "The property Dad inherited from Grandpa Joe. It's been in the family for like 50 years. Mom's been handling all the paperwork since Dad died." I was quiet for so long that Jessica asked if I was still there. "When did you find out about this property?" "We've always known about it." I thought, "Mom said you knew." "I've never heard about any property. Not once." Jessica went quiet again. I could practically hear her realizing she'd freaked up. "Jessica, is Mom planning to sell this property?" I can't. You need to talk to Mom about this. Is she planning to sell it and split the money between you and Tyler? Please just come down and we can all. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I immediately called Derek. "Derek, did you know about some property Dad left? 40 acres up north?" "Oh shit. She didn't tell you." "Derek, did you know?" "Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I thought you knew. It's been in the family forever. Your grandpa left it to your dad, and your dad left it to all 3 of you kids." "All 3 of us?" "Yeah. Equal shares. 1/3 each." I felt sick. "Derek, what's the property worth?" "Dude, it's got road access, a decent cabin, it's near the lake. In this market, probably $180,000, maybe more. $60,000. My share would be $60,000. "Derek, has anyone mentioned selling it? Your mom's been asking family members about real estate agents. Said she wanted to liquidate Dad's assets to help with bills." "When?" "Started asking around in November." "November, right before they decided I wasn't family enough for Christmas dinner." I hung up and immediately called my lawyer. "I need you to research a property in my father's name, and I need to know if there are any pending sales or transfers." 3 hours later, he called me back. "Your father left the property to all 3 children in equal shares. However, your mother filed paperwork in December, claiming she has power of attorney over your share due to financial irresponsibility and family conflict. Can she do that?" "Not legally, no. But if you weren't aware of the property and didn't contest it, she might have been able to push it through. The good news is nothing's been finalized yet." "What do I need to do?" "File a claim immediately, contest the power of attorney, and probably get a restraining order on any sale of the property." That's when I realized this wasn't just about the money I'd been sending them. This was about cutting me out of a $60,000 inheritance while using my own money to fund their lives until the sale went through. They weren't just thieves, they were con artists. I called Jessica back from my lawyer's office. "Hi," she said, sounding hopeful. "Jessica, I just found out Mom filed paperwork claiming power of attorney over my inheritance. Dead silence. She told us you knew about the property and didn't want to deal with it. That's a lie. She said you were too irresponsible with money to handle property ownership. The irony was freaking incredible. Jessica, I want you to think very carefully about your next words. Has Mom told you and Tyler that you'll each get half the property value when it sells? She she said it would help all of us get back on our feet. All of us? Or just you two? Longer silence. Just us two. There it was. They'd been planning to steal my inheritance while using my own money to support themselves, until the scam was complete. Look, she continued, we know we messed up, but you're destroying our lives over money. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just not funding it anymore. And I'm certainly not letting you steal my inheritance. Mom's sleeping on a couch. Tyler's living in his car. And whose fault is that? You could fix this tomorrow if you wanted to. You could have prevented this entirely if you'd been honest with me about literally anything. More silence. Please, she said, and her voice cracked. We're family. Family doesn't lie to each other for 2 years. Family doesn't exclude each other from Christmas dinner. Family doesn't try to steal each other's inheritance while using their money to survive. We can change. You've had 28 months to change. Instead, you plan to steal from me. Please, I'm begging you. We'll do anything. And that's when I realized something important. They weren't sorry for what they'd done. They were sorry they got caught. They weren't apologizing for lying to me or excluding me or taking advantage of me. They were just scared because their long-term con was falling apart. Here's what's going to happen, I said, and my voice was colder than I'd ever heard it. You're going to get a lawyer and contest Mom's fraudulent power of attorney claim. You're going to tell the truth about how she lied to you about me knowing about the property. And you're going to make sure I get my full 1/3 share of that inheritance. I can't do that to Mom. Jessica, she was planning to steal $60,000 from me while using my money to keep you alive until the sale went through. She played all of us. But if we contest it, she'll get nothing. She was planning to give me nothing anyway. I could hear Jessica crying now. What if we split it 4 ways? Mom gets something too. Mom isn't entitled to that property. Dad left it to his children, not his wife. Please, she's our mother. And I'm your brother. Didn't stop you from planning to steal from me. Long pause. You're really going to destroy our family over this? Jessica, our family was destroyed the moment you decided I wasn't worth inviting to Christmas dinner while planning to steal my inheritance. I'm just making sure there are consequences. We'll fight this. Good luck. I have a lawyer, documented evidence of financial fraud, and the original will. You have a power of attorney document based on lies. I hung up and blocked that number too. But I wasn't done. Not even close. The next morning, I drove to the courthouse and filed all the paperwork my lawyer had prepared. Contested the power of attorney, demanded an immediate freeze on any property transactions, and requested a full audit of how the property had been managed since Dad's death. Then I did something that felt absolutely nuclear. I posted an update to my Facebook status. Update: discovered my family's financial fraud was just the tip of the iceberg. They've been planning to steal my inheritance, worth $60,000, while using my money to support themselves until the scam was complete. My mother filed fraudulent power of attorney documents claiming I was financially irresponsible while I was paying all their bills. The same people who told me I wasn't family enough for Christmas dinner were planning to steal my birthright. Legal action is being taken. I tagged all of them again, plus every family member I could think of. The response was immediate and brutal. Karen: Linda, how could you stoop this low? Uncle Jim: this is beyond stealing. This is betrayal at the deepest level. Derek: Aunt Linda, I can't believe you would do this to your own son. Even family friends started commenting, this is disgusting, and how do you sleep at night? But the comment that hit hardest came from my dad's brother, Uncle Mark, who I hadn't heard from in years. Your father would be ashamed. He left that land to all 3 of his children equally. The fact that you would try to steal from one of them while he was supporting you financially is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. I'm calling a family meeting. And he did. Uncle Mark, being the oldest male in the family after Dad died, had a certain authority that people respected. He organized a family gathering for the next weekend, extended family only. Mom, Jessica, and Tyler weren't invited. I drove down for it, the first time I'd been back to my hometown since Christmas. The meeting was at Uncle Mark's house. Derek was there, Karen, Uncle Jim, my cousin Rachel, even some great aunts I hadn't seen in years. Uncle Mark stood up and read Dad's will out loud. The property section was crystal clear. I leave my inherited property at address to my 3 children, my name, Jessica Marie, and Tyler James, in equal shares, to be divided among them as they see fit. Not one word about Linda, Uncle Mark said. Not one word about power of attorney. Your father knew exactly what he was doing. Then Karen spoke up. I think we all need to understand what really happened here. Linda has been taking advantage of my name's generosity for years, while planning to steal his inheritance. This isn't a family dispute. This is criminal fraud. Uncle Jim nodded. The boy's been supporting the whole family while they plan to rob him blind. That's when I found out the extent of their lies. Apparently, Mom had been telling the extended family for months that I was difficult to work with and refused to help with family matters. She'd been setting up the narrative that I was the problem child who couldn't be trusted with financial decisions. Meanwhile, I was literally paying for their entire lifestyle. The worst part, said my great Aunt Helen, is that they excluded him from Christmas while planning this. That's not just theft, that's cruelty. Uncle Mark looked at me. What do you want to do about this? I want my inheritance. I want them to pay back what they stole. And I want them to understand that actions have consequences. What about criminal charges? Asked Derek. I thought about it. If they contest my inheritance claim or try to fight the audit, then yes. Criminal charges for fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. Uncle Mark nodded. Fair enough. They made their choices. The family meeting ended with a unanimous decision. Mom, Jessica, and Tyler were officially cut off from all family support until they made things right with me. No one would lend them money, let them stay over, or help them in any way. It was the most validated I'd felt in years. 3 days later, I got a call from a lawyer I didn't recognize. This is Attorney Williams, representing Linda, Mom's last name. We'd like to discuss a settlement regarding the property dispute. What kind of settlement? My client is willing to split the property 3 ways as originally intended, in exchange for you dropping any fraud charges. I laughed. Your client doesn't get to negotiate terms for following the law. She's also prepared to begin repayment of the funds you claim were taken without authorization. I don't claim anything. I have documented proof. Nevertheless, she'd like to avoid criminal prosecution. She should have thought about that before committing crimes. What would it take for you to consider dropping this matter? Full repayment of $11,847 plus interest, my complete inheritance with no strings attached, and a written apology acknowledging that she lied about me to the family for years. That's quite demanding. Those are the consequences of her choices. The lawyer called back the next day. My client accepts your terms. Just like that, they folded completely. 2 weeks later, I had a cashier's check for $12,200. They paid interest, legal ownership of my 1/3 share of the property, and a 2-page handwritten letter from Mom admitting to everything and apologizing. The letter was pathetic, all about how desperate she was and how she never meant for things to go this far. Not one word about how their actions affected me emotionally. Just excuses and self-pity. I kept the check and the property deed. The letter went straight into the shredder. The next morning, Derek texted me. Tyler showed up at my job yesterday asking if I could lend them money. Told him hell no. They're getting desperate. Good, I replied. Desperate people make changes. 3 months later, Derek told me Tyler had gotten a full-time job at a warehouse, and Jessica was working at a restaurant. Mom had applied for subsidized housing and was getting food stamps. They were functioning adults now. It only took cutting off their unlimited money supply to make it happen. I never responded to any more attempts at contact, changed my number, blocked them on all social media, and moved on with my life. Best decision I ever made. The money I used to spend supporting their lifestyle, I put it toward a down payment on a house. My house, where they'll never be welcome. Some bridges are worth burning, especially when they were built on lies.